Let's go to the NBA now. 7 p.m. tonight, Nets, Hornets. We know Kevin Durant, he'll be in the lineup. He made his return last week. We still wait for Ben Simmons to make his Brooklyn debut. This is a good one with playoff seeding up for grabs in the East. The Hornets currently occupy the 8th spot while the Nets check in at 9th. Here's why this game is so big for the Nets tonight. If they win, they move into the 8th spot in the East, which would guarantee them 2 chances to advance out of the play-in tournament instead of the 1. And the Nets are 5.5 games behind the 6-seeded Cavs, which symbolizes how many games back they are from avoiding the play-in tournament. Here's the thing that I just cannot figure out. Despite all that, Jay, what I just gave you, Nets are still the favorite at Caesars to eventually be the Eastern Conference champs and make the finals. I don't know. ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler has some thoughts on the Nets. You've been consistent saying Brooklyn remains one of your teams that could win the East. They're 0-2 since KD returned to the Hawks, and Wizards are directly in their rearview mirror. So how much urgency do the Nets need to show tonight in Charlotte to not only just win a game, but work their way up the standings and represent the East in the finals?
Yeah, Matt, this is what happens when a team goes all season and they never at any point put all their cards on the table. You have to keep buying in to the hope that eventually they will and trying to figure out what that's going to look like. And that's why they're still a championship contender. And I know they dropped the last 2 since Kevin Durant came back, but I take far more out of what Kevin Durant looked like. And Kevin Durant looks like Kevin Durant. And that's all I need to see to know that this team now is relevant, because Kevin Durant has an answer for anything that's in front of him. Now, it's going to take some time together with Kyrie Irving, with the new pieces that they picked up. Remember, they added 3 starters in that trade with Philadelphia. Now, 2 of those guys are already paying dividends with Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, but you haven't seen Ben Simmons at all. So when you have 3 new starters, one of whom still hasn't seen the floor yet, and you have Kevin Durant coming back from this long injury, and Kyrie Irving hasn't played at home yet, you can see why we're still wondering what this is going to look like. But for me, it always gets back to, if you got Kevin Durant, you've got a chance. And this team clearly should still be in the mix. I think they're going to end up probably in the 8th seed, win a game, end up as the 7th seed out of the play-in, and then you go into a best of 7 against who knows who that's going to be, because they're bunched together at the top. But Brooklyn Nets absolutely still deserve to be on that list because of Kevin Durant. 18, 19 games left remaining. Chemistry, you got to get everybody in the lineup. There's a lot of buts. The Nets have lost 17 of their last 20 games. Second worst record of the NBA since January 23rd, behind the Rockets at 1-16. Yet Tim Legler sits there and tells me, if this thing works, look out for the Nets come playoff time. Tim Legler with us all afternoon. Tim, thank you. The world has been waiting for, according to our own Jeremy Fowler in the NFL Network. Aaron Rodgers has decided to return to the Green Bay Packers. We wondered when the decision would come. Aaron Rodgers had said for a while he wanted to stick to a specific timeline. The deadline for franchise tagging players is this afternoon. Aaron Rodgers met his own deadline by now, saying that he will return to the Packers. That according to the NFL Network and our own Jeremy Fowler. The last 2 seasons, Aaron Rodgers has left no doubts he's still one of the best in the NFL. He leads the league in touchdowns, total QBR the last 2 years. Winning the MVP last season, those 85 touchdown passes came with only 9 picks across all 32 regular season games. We have a trio of people to discuss all things Aaron Rodgers with. Marcus Spears is here. Dan Graziano is here. We'll get to Spears in just a minute. I want to start with Dan Graziano. We've been talking about this for a while, Dan. The timeline of when we might get this decision from Aaron Rodgers. Now, according to Jeremy Fowler and the NFL Network, we know Aaron Rodgers will remain with the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I mean, look, this has been a possibility all along, of course. I think when Aaron Rodgers met with the Packers after the season, there was some discussion, a lot of discussion about, hey, what kind of team is it going to be? What kind of stuff are you guys going to be able to do with regard to your cap issues? And then how would I fit into that? So we'll see the details on the extension, assuming it gets done, assuming it gets finalized. It'll be one that lowers his cap number likely as far as possible. Should give them about $21 million in cap relief if they're able to max out the relief that comes with an extension. But we still don't know exactly what that contract will look like when all is said and done. But it does sound like, based on that reporting, based on Pat McAfee's reporting, that Rodgers will be back in Green Bay. And if it is truly a long-term extension, as Jeremy had indicated over the weekend in his reporting that it would be, then that indicates that he would likely finish his career there, which he always said he wanted to do.
Yeah, and Graziano, you follow this. You're an NFL reporter, and we had talked about this timeline that Aaron Rodgers we thought would stick to. We weren't 100% certain. So now that this decision has reportedly come down from Rodgers, take me through what this does for the Green Bay Packers as an organization now here in early March to kind of set the table for the rest of the offseason now that they've got the franchise quarterback off the table.
So as of this morning, they were projected about $26 million over the cap. If they do get the full $21 million in relief from the Rodgers extension, that gets them close, but not there. But remember, they're almost certain to franchise tag Davante Adams later today. That's going to add $20 million to the cap. So they still need to figure some stuff out in terms of restructures, in terms of veteran cuts. You know, it's possible Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, guys like that won't be able to fit under the cap and will have to be cut. And if that's the case, they'll have to be replaced. They have some key free agents out there, guys like Devondre Campbell and Rasul Douglas, who they'd like to re-sign but may not be able to afford. Rodgers wanted a lot of these questions answered, and so whatever the Packers' plan is, I'm sure he's at least been kept abreast of it, but they do have a lot of work to do to get under the cap by 4 o'clock Eastern time next Wednesday.
Yeah, we know the quarterback was operation number one for the Green Bay Packers. We know they'd made some moves all offseason, at least early in the offseason, to get to the point where they could, in other words, recruit Aaron Rodgers back to number 12 in Green Bay. Graziano, we've got so much more to talk about here with the franchise tag deadline. We'll step aside from you for a second and continue the breaking news with Jay and Marcus Spears.
Yeah, Marcus Spears joining us now. Marcus, first, your general reaction when you first heard the news. What do you think?
It's phenomenal for the Green Bay Packers. Now they can go and start doing business. And that was the whole issue leading up into this point. And obviously there were timelines, but the fact that now they can operate under the notion and knowing that Aaron Rodgers is going to return, now it impacts the whole team. Because look, regardless of the number of years, this is to win a Super Bowl. Something that has evaded Aaron Rodgers for the last 12 years. So now the pieces being put together. This should be indication that relationships are better. The fact that he wants to commit to being in Green Bay a longer time. So ultimately, now the work begins for Brian Gutekunst. The work begins for this coaching staff. And the work begins also in regards to Jordan Love and what you do with him moving towards the future. But now you have the top quarterback in the NFL. Now you can figure out what you do with Davante Adams. It'll be easier to keep him in that building now because these things did correlate, and you start figuring out how to manage not only the salary cap, but this roster in order to put the Green Bay Packers in a position to win a Super Bowl. That is what this is about. And obviously everybody says that, we need to keep Aaron Rodgers should be the reason why the Green Bay Packers win a Super Bowl. Determining how long this structure is, they have to get one in that window minimum.
You've been following this story as much as anybody else really, really closely. So talk about getting to the business of the business. I know, right? I know. How would you put those pieces together to keep this team a constant threat to win the Super Bowl?
First and foremost, Davante, right? We all know that we working under that umbrella, but also Jair Alexander on the other side of the football defensively. And when you think about the Green Bay Packers, the thing that they struggled with is special teams. So they have to find emphasis on that. But beyond that, Aaron Rodgers is the catalyst to what they want to do offensively. And I'm sure that's going to entail him feeling like he has the pieces around him. Aaron Jones signed a long-term extension to running back. Davante Adams is up, obviously, with the tag, but you expect him now to do a long-term deal. And then figure it out. Lazard, you got Valdez-Scantling, you got Robert Tonyan. How do you continue to maximize this offense around him, which I think they already have some really good pieces, but how do you keep those guys in the door? Or if they leave or any of those particular guys leave outside of Davante, do you get a guy in that can be impact and an impactful player in this offense on a team that, like I said, Jay, plan is to win a Super Bowl, not just make it to the playoffs.
All right, I want to ask you one more question. I want you to get inside Aaron Rodgers' head. Why do you think this ended the way it did with him staying in Green Bay?
You know, Jay, we've been trying to do that for 2 damn years. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers thought. I mean, money is a motivator, and I'm sure it's going to be a big-time contract. I'm sure he looked at the landscape and said to himself, I got Devontae Adams. Hopefully that relationship had some bearing on what he decided to do. And ultimately, it was because the Green Bay Packers decided that whatever Aaron Rodgers wants, we are going to give him. And it actually started last year, Jay. It started with the restructuring of a contract. It started with acquiring Randall Cobb. It started with Matt LaFleur making sure that this offense was tailor-made, and some of the decisions that was made previously as far as play calling came to Aaron Rodgers. And then 2 offseason. Remember, he spent an entire offseason away from Green Bay, and it was all still out of that organization. We want Aaron Rodgers. So they've already hung themselves out there to make sure that everybody knows that Aaron Rodgers is the key, and Aaron Rodgers is the guy that we're going to focus on before we do any other order of business. And the fact that they did that, I'm assuming that's what changed his mind and changed the narrative. And now it's about going out and getting W's and getting the ultimate prize.
What kind of Aaron